Hi, welcome to Ike's Vintage Tech. Today we're looking at the Gateway Pentium P5-75 family PC. This PC came out right before Windows 95 came out. It originally shipped with Windows 3.1.1. As you can see, the monitor on this is missing its red gun, I believe, or needs some internal repair. So we're going to go ahead and put a different monitor on this for the rest of the video here. I just wanted to show what it would look like as a complete set. For its time, it was a very budget-friendly PC. They had up to 120 megahertz, I believe, at that time at launch. This was a 75 megahertz, so it was the entry level. It was a decent computer for the time. This one has 40 meg of RAM, 600 and some gig or 600 and some meg hard drive. Today we're going to be putting in a 20 gig hard drive pulled from an Apple iMac. Same compatibility, 40 pin IDE. We're going to be putting in a Rage 128 PCI video card, and I am also throwing in this tape drive. The original reason I wanted to do this was because I found this old tape in a Foot Locker of mine that was up in my mom's attic for over 20 years. Getting ready for this video, I took a peek on what was on there. Unfortunately, it's unformatted. Okay, I had to do a little rearranging on my setup. I got the screen angled so I can still see it. I'm not going to be doing much typing at the moment on the keyboard, so that's fine. Got my camera here recording the screen until I get a better screen recording setup at the moment, so this will have to do. What I'm going to do right now is format the hard drive. I'm going to format the floppy disk really quick. I've got a USB floppy disk drive that I've had for a very long time. It's pretty old. It works, which is amazing for its age. So I'm going to do that, then copy the disk over, or paste over the BIOS. It's a compressed file, and a self-extracting exe will not open in Windows 11. Pretty much Microsoft is like, why are you trying to open this? Get out of here. It's not safe. And I'm like, trust me, bro. It's cool. And they don't trust me. So that is in there. It's only like 400K, so it's pretty small. We're going to open this up. There's the self-extracting zip. Let's just copy it to the desktop, because we're going to use the same floppy to create the boot floppy they're asking me to do for this BIOS. I assume that's how it's going to be. Okay, so here is what we do. BIOS ending in BSOT, BS0T. That is what it ends in. So we're going to format the floppy and make it bootable. Right click, format, copy system files. Let's just label this BIOS. Caps lock, BIOS. And just a quick format is fine. It's just going to erase it real quick, dump the system files on there so it's bootable, and we'll go from there. Close that out. Let's go to that folder it created under cabs. Right click, send to 3.5 floppy. Couldn't do that in Windows 3.1 that easy. So I'll probably speed this up, because who wants to stare at files going over to a floppy? So if you want to look at the README file quick, what we're going to do is when we boot the drive up now, boot the computer using the disk, select update flash memory from a file, select the file 1011bsot.bio is the file to update from. the BIOS will be flashed to the new version. After BIOS is flashed, the utility will prompt the system to be rebooted. Press escape until system reboots. Then we will have the newest BIOS on here, and we'll be able to install this larger hard drive. Let's see here. Let's close that out. BIOS up is the file we're going to be booting. So let's go from there. Let's reboot this system. Ah, that old sound. So as you can see right now, I've got a SBI. I forget, it flashed by so quick, but it's a pretty old GPU that came in this. It's pretty basic for the time. That's why I'm going with the updated one. Oh, this is a GUI BIOS update. Did not expect that from a computer from 95. So enter to continue. We are going to update flash memory from a file. Update system BIOS. We are choosing this BIOS. Continue with programming. Continue. I want to pop that disk out so it doesn't boot to it again. We are now on 1.0.11.bsot. That is excellent. Let's find out what that means. Okay, it does not see my floppy as installed. That's not a good sign. Odd. Floppy interface is disabled. So let's enable that. Let's turn that to auto, parallel port address, auto. So basically what happened is everything reset to disabled, which is odd. But it's what it is. So let's change all of that. That's peripheral, chipset, exit saving, and let's see if that worked. If that didn't work, hopefully it works. I do not want to be troubleshooting beyond BIOS settings today. So it sees the hard drive, sees the Toshiba CD-ROM. Let's see if it'll see the floppy disk. Floppy's installed. Awesome. We are good to go. Insert a bootable media in the appropriate drive. So that is odd. Let's do a reset and get back to the BIOS. I forget which F key to hit. It'll tell me F1 to go back into setup. So it sees the drives, it just doesn't know what to boot to. So when I updated the BIOS, it changed everything back to default. At least we see a floppy disk. Boot options. First boot device should be hard drive, or no, floppy. and then hard disk. Third boot device. I don't have a network card on this yet. It's amazing that it can do Pixie boot. I wonder if it's Pixie boot or if it's something different back then. Let's turn number lock on. I like to have that on. Setup prompt, hard disk delay. Okay. Let's save and see if it boots to Windows now. And look at that, starting Windows 95. Excellent. So a little bit of scare there. It's been about 20 years since I've updated a BIOS on a computer this old. Most of my collection is Macintosh from the 80s and 90s. I've been working on PCs since the 90s as well, but personally haven't owned one this old in quite a while. So it's a process for you and me. So I'm going to enter my password here. When I did this, I did my usual password, so I'm going to do a jump cut so y'all don't see my password. And I love this startup sound. So it's going to find new devices because the motherboard basically is reporting slightly different information, and Windows sees it as a driver update that needs to happen. So all the COM ports, pretty much everything that was already set up is going to try to set itself up again. So let's speed through this and we'll hear that beautiful Windows startup sound. So in the meantime, I'm going to make a Windows 95 startup disk. I basically download disk images. Okay, so I use a program called WinImage to write the floppy disks. And the great part about having floppies is you can rewrite them. Eventually they may fail, as would any media, but they're cheap. They're still relatively easy to find. Search yard sales. You'll find people will just throw this stuff out half the time. It looks like this isn't going to load Windows at the moment. Not terribly upset. Didn't have anything on there I needed to save. Preparing for this video, I did some clean installs just to get some practice because, like I said, it's been a while since I've actually done 95 machine. A lot of my experience is Windows 98 and newer. So taking me back to when I was 15, working on my dad's computer is something a little different. So let's go from there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to having the bench ready and prepared to do the upgrades. So I'll see you soon. Okay, I had to run, grab some screws because just like any other sane person, I've got bags full of computer screws. So let me line this up real quick. Okay, so I'm going to crack this open. I've already unscrewed the 3 screws that were in there. It should have been 7, but that's what it came with. So when you buy used computers off of people, you're kind of at their mercy that they did a good job of whatever they did prior. The guy did smoke. You can smell it in here. It's not overpowering. I don't believe he operated this much while smoking. It was more of like in the vicinity of smoke. So I can live with it. The CMOS battery is new at least, so that holds its clock, which is nice. It's not overly dirty in here either. So it's not overly dirty. Here's the video card I'm going to be replacing. I'm going to be keeping the Sound Blaster Live in there, obviously. That's exactly what I want. The modem has no use for me, but I'm going to keep it in there just to keep the slot hole covered. What I'm going to want to do first is figure out what I need to do to get the hard drive out, which is here. And I want to put the tape drive in, which is down here. Looking at the chassis here, it does look like it's being held on from the front. So I'm going to want to carefully remove the front cover. In order to do that, I see 4 screws that are holding it on. So these are just self-tapping plastic screws. As far as I can tell, there's only 4 of them. But if I'm wrong, I'll find out soon. Okay, the problem while trying to work on camera is you're taking weird angles to get the job done. Nope. Another one up here I missed. Okay, this is where you're going to see some real dirt. Because I have not taken this apart yet, I can definitely see some dirt in there that I'm going to want to clean out. So, first thing I see is, let me see if you can see this on camera. Yep. There are a few switches held to the front here. If I can just carefully move this to the side without having to disconnect any of them, that would be great. I'm going to go through here with a vacuum in a second and just vacuum all that out. I'm glad I finished my coffee that is down here before I did that. Actually smells slightly better now. Okay, so the best I can tell is that the drive bay for the 5.5 inch drives, 5.25 inch drives are in there for good. They're riveted in. They are not coming out. The 3.5 inch drives have at least 2 screws here that hold them in place. Yep. So let's disconnect the power there. Ribbon cable. Making note that the red pin is facing up. Now, cable memory alone, everything will kind of just lie back in place. Wow, there's date stamps on here. July 6th, 1995. I wish I could tell the hours on this. I don't believe it has smart on there. I can check, but I don't think it has any smart configuration settings, unfortunately. So that is funny. If you look at the CD-ROM on this side, there are no retaining screws on this. So if this was ever replaced at some time, they were lazy and only did the one side, or if it's from the factory like that, I'd be amazed that somebody in Sioux Falls or wherever this was probably made that mistake. And I only see 1 screw on this side, so I'm hoping this was something that somebody did outside the factory. I'm going to fix that and put the right amount of screws in there, but for the time being, let us pop this out here. Take that screw out. Remove the audio cable. The power cable. And carefully remove the ribbon cable. This is okay, this is definitely a replacement. This is from April 1998. CD-ROM drive. I mean, if we're just doing CD-ROM drives, I might upgrade this myself because I definitely have some faster ones that are in the beige color. But for now, I'm going to leave it because it does work. A little noisy, but it works. So put that in there. Pop out the drive cover. Don't need that anymore. And same for this side. This drive cover will pop right out. I always save these. You never know when you're going to want to change things around, put things back to the way they were stock. But for now, that'll work. Here's our drive right here. Fairly clean. I'm going to take a little alcohol to it. Whenever you fly and they give away these free alcohol wipes, take as many as they'll give you. They're great for working on electronics, cleaning up computer parts, what have you. Okay, I can actually get my finger in the back there and hold that in place while I clean. Let's try to do that on camera. Let's see if I can do the same from this angle. Yep, there we go. Get the drive nice and clean. It's an off-color grayish beige, brownish beige. It's not quite beige, but it is a drive of the era. While I'm in here, may as well wipe it down a tad. Don't want to waste a perfectly good alcohol wipe. Yeah, look at that nasty, nasty, nasty smoking dust. So that's the basics for now. I'm also going to be doing the video card, which is coming out right here. So this is the original video card. There's a date code of 1995, so maybe the 19th day of 1995. Kind of makes sense, goes with the age of this thing. STB Systems Trio 64 is the GPU that's in here. This says 7/6/95, so that's when Gateway installed it in the system. So that all kind of adds up. Set that down there. Look at the difference here. So much more performance in this one here that was manufactured around 98, 99. Let's see if I have any date stamps on here I can read. Nothing. Okay, it does have a copyright on the board of 2001. So this is from at least 2001. The fun part is going to be finding graphics drivers for this thing. Hopefully that won't be an issue. But I will soon find out. Get that nice and snug. On my random bin of screws here and find out what fits. This is usually fine thread, but not this time. So that looks like it's a coarse thread. So it's not that one. Yep, coarse thread. The most common of computer screwdriver. Okay. So I'm going to have to do a little bit of trial and error here, trying to figure out the exact depth this thing needs to be. So at the same time, I'm going to put the CD-ROM back in. Pick up that alcohol wipe before it dries off. Just give this a nice cleaning here. All sides quickly. Okay. This will slide back in fairly easy as well. And this one is the fine thread, which is fine. I've got plenty of them. Okay, let's try that again. There we go, line that up nice. Okay, I'm going to skip the third or the fourth screw on that one because it's covered by the power switch. That'll be okay. There's 3 of them in there. There was only 1 when I opened this thing originally, so not really worried about that. So if I line that up, that goes right there. Give it a twist, double check my work. Double check again, triple check. I don't like having the drive be off by a hair. I want it to be as exact as possible. That one is all the way up front as far as it'll allow. So that's as good as that's going to get. Okay, so that's in. Now for the fun part, which I should have done ahead of time, is the floppy drive cable. Okay. So I got plenty of room on here for the floppy. Pin 1, luckily I've already checked this out. I'm going to double check, because I do not want to have this be wrong, put it all back together, and then kick myself because I didn't triple check. But if I recall, pin 1 was away from the power supply in this drive. Or no, not away from. Yeah, it is. So pin 1 is on this side of the drive, away from the power connector. So I'm going to want to connect this properly, of course. So let's slide you all the way in as far as you'll go. Fortunate enough to have such a long floppy cable on this thing. I'm going to just remove this CD-ROM because it is completely in the way. And I'll put it back in when I'm done. Okay, so this particular model has, I've got the option of the slot or the pins. This particular model uses the pins. It's a rather slow backup, but it's only 120 meg. So, you know, you can take your time with 120 meg and it not be the end of the world. So there's that. I've got this connector here, or this connector. Either will reach. I'm going to clean this up with some zip ties when I'm done. So P7 can reach just fine. Let's plug it in. Stash those cables down there. And let's put it back together. Crap is in the way. If only they made a stubby. Let's get you in first. And then push to the extreme. There you go. Do the other side here. Now that was lazy. They only did 3 screws on the hard drive, and it is an original Gateway drive from the day of manufacturing, so I will remedy that as well. Let's line these up in the same order. Okay, making sure pin 1 is right because these are not slotted cables, because they had a lot of trust in people back then. Now, if this is backwards, it will just stay on. There we go. Just make it snug. Don't over tighten. It is just plastic. So that is back to being good again. Then you just adjust accordingly. So both these are out just a hair now, which is easy enough to fix. back off the screws just a tad. Now you can do a proper alignment and fit. There we go. And double check your work as you go. It is really easy to move it slightly on you as you tighten it. That one last crank, it does move the drive ever so slightly. You'll either pull it in or push it out depending on what side you're on as you're turning. So that looks good. There we go. Nice and clean all the way around. I got to remember my camera stops every 30 minutes of filming, which is very annoying because it tells me I should be quicker. But it also is something that is just a setting that I need to adjust. Okay, there's quite a bit of cabling just in the way of everything, which is exactly how all computers were in 1995. Stuff like thermals and airflow were not as important back then as they are now. They were important, don't get me wrong, but back then systems used to not quite get as hot as they do today. Okay, I don't like that. So take that out, duck that under, put that back on. Put that down there. There we go. Just move that stuff around a little bit. Let's get that cable out of the heatsink and back into the CD-ROM. Try to get everything as clean as you can within reason. Okay. I believe that is it. We've got the hard drive upgraded, we've got the tape drive in, and the video card has all been updated. This is the old hard drive. Here we go, I can see it there. It's a 730 megabyte hard drive from 31 May 1995. I'm going to see if there is a utility out there I can get the hours off of this thing, and it'll give me an idea how many hours are on this system up to today. Based on how clean it was on the inside, it might not be a lot. This may have been used lightly and then, put away. Maybe the guy got a better one back in the day. Could have belonged to a company that upgraded. Who knows? Another thing I want to look at real quick while I'm in here are the capacitors. They seem to be fine now. There's a little bit of oxidation on that, but other than that, it's fairly clean. I don't see any bulging caps. I don't see any leaking caps anywhere, which is amazing. That is a bridge I will cross when I get there. If I do ever do a cap replacement on this, I do want to do a CPU upgrade at some point. We'll see. I've got an endless list of to-dos on my to-do list. So let's seal this back up. Put the bench back together, and we will get windows on this. This is really a nice design for 1995. If you remember the old Packard Bells, they were horrible. A lot of people love them today because of nostalgia, but realistically, they were not that great a machine. They got in big trouble back in the day for selling used parts and claiming they were new, which nobody likes that. Clearly, for obvious reasons. You're going into Sears or Radio Shack or wherever you bought it, putting down a considerable amount of money for 1995, and you find out they're used. One more. So nobody wants that. And that is why they eventually went out of business. Which is a shame because everyone has nostalgia for Packard Bell today because it's what their parents bought. It's what they might have had as their first computer. It was certainly my first computer, and I am a little nostalgic for it until I looked at it and saw how much they're asking. There we go. Got my screws together, and I do have these thumb screws I could use, but it's really unnecessary. They're not the original. Now, Gateway was one of the first companies out there that really did have a nice consumer repair philosophy where they put thumb screws on their computer back when nobody was doing that. They figured it was cost saving, for one thing, where if you call up and say, my hard drive is making this clicking noise, somebody on the phone can walk you through the replacement much, much cheaper than it would cost for you to take that in and have a technician do it, or sending somebody out to your actual physical address. Now today, everything is cheaper to just mail it in and repair. You don't even get the same one back half the time. They just do what is called Swaptronics. But that is today. Okay, I'm going to put the bench back together and we will start installing 95. Okay, as you can see now, I got everything set up. I had a little trouble with the hard drive. I had to pull that. It was making the click of death sound, so this drive is no longer any good. I'm going with a 15 gig drive. I'm going to have to do an F-disk, format it, install Windows, the whole 9 yards. I'm going to jump cut that and we'll be back in a little bit. We're going to get this started, set up with the boot disk. I'm going to eject the CD-ROM. It's a little noisy for the video. Total legit copy of Windows 95, I swear. I do have an actual disk somewhere, but it's much easier just to burn it and be done with it. Okay, now we're at the point where the floppy drive is booted up. It's asking what CD-ROM we have. It is a Toshiba we did see, so let's see if that works. I've done the NEC before and it has always seemed to work, so let's see if the Toshiba works just as fine. It probably will. Okay, at this point, the boot disk has booted up. We are at the A prompt. We are going to do a F-disk, format, and install of Windows. I'm going to do a jump cut on this because it's really unnecessary for me to show you the entire hour-long process of doing this. So you're going to see it in a little fast forward. I'm going to come around the bench and work the keyboard and mouse proper, and we'll see you when it's done. And I'm back. After a few days of figuring out problem drivers with the video card, getting the graphics to work, I I actually had some time to do some other updates. I put a different CD-ROM in here, a little newer, a little quieter. It's not as noisy now, so that's really a huge improvement. I also found out, silly me, that the hard drive is maxed out at 8 gig. Now, I thought when I was reading the BIOS notes that it could accept drives over 8.4 gig because I thought that was the max before. I was wrong. It just goes up to 8.4 gig. So it's kind of good I didn't have to use a 20 gigabyte hard drive. Sucks that it's dead, but at least I'm only wasting a few gig with the 15 that is in there now. Not too terrible. I was able to get the audio working, so what I had to do was I installed Windows and it would start locking up immediately. As soon as it did the welcome to Windows chime, it would just freeze. So I had to disable the Sound Blaster driver, which was not a problem before, and then install the ATI drivers for the video card, which were damn near impossible to find. I searched high and low. I downloaded every disk I could off of archive.org. I finally found one forum post on Voggins where somebody said that they found the driver that worked and they linked it. I will link it in the description below. They were a godsend. I got that file, downloaded it, threw it onto the CD, burned it, got it onto the desktop here, and once I installed that, every other driver would then just load without locking up. I also threw in a 10100 NIC card. That way, now I've got internet on my ancient beast here. Not that I'm watching YouTube on it or anything, but it is convenient. I do have a retro NAS that I have to finish setting up, but that will be very convenient for when I have to have a repository of my own to go back and re-download files that I need instead of searching the depths of the internet for 20-year-old, 25-year-old drivers that may or may not have been saved. So I was very lucky there. Let's get the speakers on here. These were not the original speakers that came with this. I do have a little satellite pair with a subwoofer that I have not tested yet. Hopefully they're good. When I put this on the desk and show at the end of this video, you're going to see hopefully those speakers, if they do work and power on, with the original monitor and everything. I am going to be looking at repairing the monitor. That'll be a separate video altogether. I believe I found out the problem. There's a little IC on the neck board that controls RGB values and input. So that chip may have gone bad. I'm going to replace it. I'm going to also, if I can, it's kind of a tight spot. If I can get in there and read voltages on each output, I'll see if I can. It's like I said, it's a tight spot. I might not be able to do it. So this might just be a Swaptronics, cross your fingers and let's hope it works. It's $8 for the chip. I'm not going to be, foreclosing on the house because of an $8 chip. So I don't mind taking a lucky gamble and, it might work. So if it does, it'll be a great video. I'll show you how I repair that. Hopefully it does work because I think that monitor would be a complete package for this computer. This monitor is nice in a pinch. It doesn't flicker on the video here, obviously, but in the end, I still like the old-fashioned CRT when you're working on something like this. Back in 1995, if you told me I could have an LCD that would be as good as this with the resolution, I would have jumped on it in a heartbeat. But now, 25, 30 years later, I'd much rather have the CRT on top of this, that crackling sound when you turn it on. It just brings you back to when you're younger. Those days go by quick. So I am glad. I do have the tape drive working. Unfortunately, like I said before, this was a blank tape. Going to go up for Thanksgiving and Christmas soon to my family, so I'm going to dig around up there, see what I can find. I've got my floppy disks here, some of which I found are dead. Just it happens with old age. They are probably from the early 2000s, and the fact that they lasted more than 10 years is amazing, let alone 20. So that isn't a problem. I've I've got enough discs here. Loaded Doom on it, played that for a bit. Like I said, once I get this to the desk, we are going to see what it would have looked like in 1995, brand new, out of the box, set up. Who knows, Christmas Day. A lot of people got these computers back then. This one was from July of 95, so this would have been a summer purchase probably, because Gateway back then was pretty much build to order. They didn't have a huge backlog of inventory, so everything they built, you called up on the phone, ordered it, and they put it together, and 2-3 weeks later you'd get a computer. And imagine doing that today if you went to Apple and be like, yeah, I'd like an iMac, and they'd be like, we'll come back to you in 3 weeks and you'll get your computer if you like it or not. People don't have that time anymore, and those days are gone of custom built PCs unless you're doing it yourself. There's companies out there that do it, but as far as like an HP or Gateway or Dell or anyone like that existing anymore like they did back then, everything is pre-built. You go find it on a shelf, pick it up and take it home that day, and that's convenient, but you lose the personal touch. That's my opinion. Let's get this shut down and we'll take it over to the desk and have it set up there. See you soon. As you can see here, it fits pretty nicely on the small desk I have set up here. I don't have a period correct desk that I can use because that is currently being used as my main desktop PC, and I don't feel like taking that all apart just to shoot a short video. The monitor I decided not to put on top because that would be kind of high and kink my neck anyways. I decided not to put the monitor higher because I believe this is a good eyesight. Plus it gives me a place to put the mouse and keyboard that are easily accessible. Once the CRT is working again, I'll be able to put that there and still have room for the mouse and keyboard, as this desk does not have a lower tray. Okay, so I was able to get a few things installed on here. It's running the classic Doom. I was not able to get the Windows 95 version to work for some reason with my drivers. For whatever reason, just didn't want to play nice. So I do have Doom working. Let's play a new game. Oop. That didn't take long. Alright, as you can see, it works. I got kids sleeping. I can't be playing this at full blast with the speakers, the subwoofer, all that. Now, more importantly, for my childhood, I've got Ski Free on here. That works. And this was just a game I played quite a bit through high school because it was on my 386. It was free. I didn't have to pay for it. Plus, I didn't really have a good system. It was just an old 386 Packard Bell that had 0 RAM practically. Barely. I think I had it on 16 color the entire time because I didn't even know how to load video drivers back then. I was very naive when it came to computers. And of course, SimCity. It's been a long time since I've done this, so it's going to take me a while to get back into the practice of getting a city to even remotely function, but pretty standard setup for the time. I am going to upgrade the processor to a 120 eventually when I can get my hands on one. There's some out there. I just don't want to pay more than what I paid for this for a new CPU. Keyboard and mouse work great. I do have better PS2 mice that are actually optical that I'll use with this. Just keeping everything original for the video. CD-ROM is very quiet as compared to what it was before. And everything is working as it should. It took a lot of work getting the drivers installed properly and getting them to work. Took a lot of work cleaning this desk and getting it ready to shoot a video too. But everything is working great, and I couldn't be happier. I hope you liked this video. I hope it was informative for some of you. I do plan on making more videos, so I hope you enjoy. I hope you like it. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is my first video that I've made so far, aside from a couple small intro videos and stuff that I haven't really even started editing yet. So when you're reviewing me, be kind, because this is the first time I'm trying this. I do want to continue doing it though, because I've got quite the collection of computers that I do plan on going through. I'm still learning the production side of things, the mic levels, lighting I need to really fix because I don't have production lights. I've got smart bulbs that I can change the brightness on, and this corner of the house is kind of dark anyways because it's where the living room is, the TV, all that stuff. But as I get better at this, my quality will hopefully improve. I hope that you guys enjoy my content, and I've got a lot of old computers that I still have to pull out of the garage and put together and make videos on. So I hope you like it, and like, subscribe, and leave me comments about what you think and what you want me to review. Thank you. Good night.